Hey, welcome to the Business Beauty Network podcast where business meets beauty. I'm your host, Brandy Taylor. Welcome. I'm super excited to have you here. We have an awesome episode in store for you. I've been in this industry for over 16 years, and it is my goal to bring thought provoking conversations from business and beauty professionals to help us grow our business and expand our minds. And as I would say, it's not just lipstick, it's business. So we mixed in a little fun and we drop episodes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to your podcast as well. So make sure you check us out there and listen to it and subscribe there. Also, click the bell in YouTube so that you don't miss an upload. You also want to make sure that you check out our podcast on our website at businessbeautynetwork.com. You can email us at hello@businessbeautynetwork.com. We are super excited to have you a part of this community. And here is today's episode.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. A new day, a new week, and a new episode of the Business Beauty Network podcast. Welcome. I am super excited to bring today's episode to you. But before we get into that, make sure that you are subscribed to the Business Beauty Network podcast wherever you're listening. And don't forget to share it. If you know someone who would benefit from this awesome content, please share it. Sharing is caring. Also connect with us on social media at Business Beauty Network, Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow the podcast and subscribe on YouTube as well. Don't forget to leave us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. A written review really helps other people to find us there. We would love to connect with you. Check out our website at businessbeautynetwork.com, and you can also email us at hello@businessbeautynetwork.com. Now that all of that is out of the way, I have an awesome episode in store for you today. And I really enjoyed learning more about Chrystal Graves and connecting with her and learning all the awesome things she's doing within the beauty industry. I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. But before we get into that, I cannot believe how fast this year has flew by. 2023 is almost over. Christmas will be here next week, Monday. So Merry Christmas to you. Enjoy your family. Just really have a great, happy holiday season. Many blessings to you and yours. Make sure that you stay connected with me. Let me know how I can help you or how the podcast can support you in any way. We love to hear from you. Join our community. We actually have a community where you can support the podcast monthly with just $10 a month. All of that information and all of our guest information and anything that I mentioned is always in the show notes. So you can just check the show notes wherever you're listening. Check out all the links there and all the information that's provided on the guest as well. So don't forget to check our show notes. But I'm super excited about a new year. My goal for 2024 is just to take more action. And I will have an episode kind of talking about and reflecting on 2023 and talking about some of my plans for 2024 coming up before the year is out. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But now let's go into our today's guest, our Chrystal Graves, her bio. Here's her bio here. Chrystal Graves is a dynamic industry leader, shaping every line of business she enters with innovation in heart. With years of experience as an educator, salon owner, and now a tech startup founder, she has established herself as a trailblazer in the field. Chrystal is the founder of Liquid Hair Institute, an empowering community that provides the essential training tools and support needed to run a profitable, sustainable business. I think you're really going to enjoy this interview, and here it goes. Hey, welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brandy Taylor. We have an awesome guest today, Chrystal Graves. Welcome, Chrystal.
Hello, Brandy. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on, Chrystal. I'm super excited to learn more about you and your business and have you on the show. But before we get into all of that, tell us something about yourself that most people would not know.
Ooh, something about myself that most people would not know. That I said I would never be a hairstylist. I literally was like, that's a no for me. At 13, my mom said I would be a hairdresser, and I was like, nah, I'm a pass. And at 27, I actually went into the beauty industry as a licensed cosmetologist. So I never ever saw myself in this career path.
Oh, interesting. So tell us your beauty story. Like, how did you get into this career path?
I fell into it on a few different levels. So at 13, it was my first experience in a hair salon. And I went and I was there all day and I was like, you know what? I could do this myself. So from that moment on, I became a kitchen beautician. And I was a kitchen beautician all the way up until I actually got into cosmetology. And that happened because a friend of mine opened up a hair salon, and I love marketing. I love marketing. I love branding. I love everything about sharing your story of what you offer. And when she opened, I kind of helped her do that. And then one of our friends got married and she ran behind and she was like, Chrystal, I know you know how to do hair. Can you do this picture? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I did the wedding hair. And after that, for the next 6 months, she harassed me to come into hair. And I was like, no, ma'am, no. Like, I'm not going to cosmetology school to learn what I already know. I'm not paying nobody no money to teach me what I already know. And from that point on, we did some research. We came across an apprentice program. So I actually tell people I've worn every hat in the beauty industry, from salon owner to commissioned salon owner to building salon suites, except for cosmetology school. So I did an apprenticeship. And then the rest is pretty much history. I kind of grew, exposed myself to more and more things through that apprenticeship, and then later through salon ownership, and now in the tech industry.
Awesome, awesome. So you fought against it at first, like you did not think this was an industry that you would go in at all.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
Now, why do you feel like you were like against getting into this as a profession at first?
Believe you only know what you know and you only believe what you see. So exposure is everything. And so for me, I grew up in St. Louis. The business models, the experiences that I had in, I'm 40. So this is 20, 30 years ago. The experiences that I had, it didn't make it be something that I wanted to do. I thought that it was one lane. And then when I got into exposing myself to all the things the beauty industry has to offer, I was like, oh man, you can do this and you can do this and you can do this. And man, you can do this, you can make this money. And so once I saw that there was way more than this tunnel vision that I had seen growing up, it changed what I thought the industry was. So it was just because you don't know what you don't know. And most of it, you can't be what you don't see. So that was why I had this vision of the beauty industry.
So you instead of going to cosmetology school, you chose to do the apprenticeship route, which I've always said like far as like I don't know about other cultures, but for us, I think it has to be a gift. Like I don't think it's something that can be taught in school. Like you either have it or you don't. But so it's interesting doing the apprenticeship. You say you learned a lot of things, but kind of take us along your journey.
Man, the apprenticeship was so interesting because when we went into it, the woman who was my apprentice supervisor, she was an educator for a national brand. So I had this exposure there because before I even agreed to the apprenticeship, I had went to the Chicago Hair Show, I went to the New York Hair Show, I went to Las Vegas Hair Show, and really my frame of thought was literally like, I just want to do Black women's hair that's not red or orange. Really, like that's all I really want to do. Like that was gonna be my bread and butter because I was like, I know we can be blind. I know there's more to what our skill set is than that. And so with the apprenticeship, the other agreement was she was like, I'm gonna teach you the practical hands-on stuff, but you're gonna learn the book work on your own, and then we'll meet to go over the book work. But this is gonna be independent learning from the book work perspective. So what was super cool is I love business. Like I tell people, I think I was born an entrepreneur. And before I ever did hair, I sold cars, I worked retail, I managed the dentist office, I worked in corporate America. I did everything that prepared me for entrepreneurship. So when I got into her business, what I learned really quickly is she was a great hairstylist. She was not a great business entrepreneur systems person. And that's where I thrive. So within the first 2 months, I got paid to actually manage the salon. So I immediately went, did the social media, did all the ordering, did all the business side, which was such a gift to me while learning how to do hair. And then I just remember working on mannequin heads. but experiencing what the salon was like. And one of the biggest things that I took away from that was like, her salon was a booth rental salon, but it was ran like a commission salon. So you, as a consumer, you would never know it was a booth rental salon. We was team salon. So long as the money stayed in house, we made it happen. And I just learned a lot. And then I just remember I went to the New York Hair Show, and I just remember going into a color class, and it was taught by a woman of color, and she was just talking about color theory. And I was like, oh, if you learn color theory, you just diagnose the hair and go from there. It doesn't matter what the hair texture is, who the person is sitting in your chair. If you understand the science behind whatever you're doing, you'll master it. And the salon I was in was it was an all-inclusive salon. So she was a Polish woman, but she had a biracial child. So she did everyone's hair, and we were in downtown. So really from that experience, I learned how to be a blonde specialist because I ran a Groupon. I sold 103 of those Groupons that were highlights and a haircut for $29. I
Whoa.
did 83 of those highlights in 60 days. And that just taught me how, because I messed up a lot, but I learned how to be a colorist. I learned how to really understand hair texture. I had everybody in my chair. So I was doing it on overly textured hair, coily, curly, kinky hair, straight hair, fine, thick. So it just taught me a lot about theory. And I believe what you said, like, it's something like doing hair is a gift. I think you're born with it. I think you can learn how to be a better hairstylist, but hairstylists are born, they're not made.
Awesome. So you kind of always knew you had that knack for business. Like you said, when you went right into this situation, you was helping her get things in order and managing after the first couple months. So how did this carry you on in your career? When did you kind of shift the paths and start your own thing as a salon owner and everything?
Absolutely. So when I went in, it was crazy because as I like to keep it really transparent. As a Black woman, the only option is booth rental. Like I came in being like I was gonna be a booth renter. I ain't never gonna be nobody's employee. So when I finished my apprenticeship, I immediately went into booth rental in her space, and then I still continued to manage the salon. And then I'm a networker, so then I just started like grinding, like networking, learning more. And then I felt like I got to a point where I really grew out of that space and that I really needed to be more and do more. And so I ventured out into I went into a booth rental space that was like two other people, but they were never at work. So it was like I had my own salon and I did all the things. And then from there, my first salon was actually gifted to me. I never was like, oh, I want to be a salon owner with employees. Never, not once. I was just like, I want to build what I'm building. And I went into a salon to buy a chair, like a child's chair and a magazine rack. And I went in and I talked to this woman named Carolyn who was selling the salon. And she talked to me 45 minutes and then walked me to my car. And then she said to me, she said, have you ever thought about opening your own salon? I was like, maybe a little bit, but the bank don't give you no money for your dreams. Like you ain't opening no salon from no bank loan. You got to have a partner with some money. And she was like, what if I gifted you this? What if I decide I'm going to stop selling everything right now and I'm going to gift you this salon space? And I was like, well, I would think about
Wow.
it. Yes. So my first salon was actually gifted to me. I had two clients who helped me for the first year. The first one helped me for free. The first year helped me make my handbook. Because again, I went into the situation like, what works well? Corporate America. Why does America work well? Because they have systems, they have policies, they have procedures. Everything is written down. You know what to expect. I just thought about my experience at Target. And so I wanted to mimic that. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I asked one of my clients help me make my first handbook, my onboarding process. And then another client who was one of my Groupon clients, I was just asking her opinion because she had built this amazing allergy and asthma place. And I was like, I wanted to be branded. I wanted to be this and that, but I gotta have $902,200. And she said, well, I'll gift it to you. I will write you a check. You tell me how you're gonna pay it back, no interest. So two of my clients actually led me into my first salon space. And then it was funny. I ended up with an apprentice directly after that. And my apprentice ended up being a white woman. And I was in Sally's buying, I was buying a wax pot, and her layers was fire. I was like, girl, your hair is fire. And she was like, I did. And I was like, I can't even cut my own hair. Like, I just be honest and transparent. And I was like, have you thought about doing hair? And she was like, well, I'm a licensed nail person. And I thought about doing hair, but I have to save money to go back to school. And I was like, what if you did an apprenticeship? And she was like, what's that? And I told her that I did it. Then she became my first apprentice. Long story short, I brought nails into the salon so that she could make money. She stayed with me for 9 years. And then so from there, we had a hybrid salon that was commission and booth rental. I loved every aspect of that. And everyone, I kind of ran it like the salon I was in. So everyone looked like they were under the Chrystal Oil Hair and Makeup brand, but they were all independent contractors. And then I kind of, I wanted more money, but I didn't want more overhead. And I was like, how do I make more money without more overhead? And so then in 2016, I dove into weddings. So I created, which I still have now, a separate wedding business where I just hire independent contractors who work wherever they work during the week. And then the brand is under us. We usually do anywhere from 15 to 20 weddings a year. And that produced about 20 to 30,000 additional income. So that was like this thing. And I was like, okay, I'm booming. And then I started networking outside of our industry, doing hair shows. And I just learned that like hairstylists really struggle with making revenue. We really struggle with systems. We really struggle with having places and spaces that actually welcome everyone in. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna create a course. I'm gonna create a course on how to make more money. So that was the wedding course. So in 2019, I made the wedding course. And in 2020, we all know what happened. And the wedding course still has never launched. What happened was I was inside of another group, and they were just talking about the wedding and the beauty industry being segregated and how they didn't know. And I was like, okay, y'all lying. Now
Right.
you got to be under a rock or have some privilege to not know how segregated this industry is, how Black and brown stylists don't have the same access as our counterparts, how education looks different, how ability to have products look different, like lies, and more lies. And I just wrote a post. And from that post, it took off where the industry started calling on me to be more of a voice around inclusivity, to be more of a voice on how to make safe spaces. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I was like, okay. So our education took off. We, that year, I think I did 3 masterminds. I coached about 25 stylists. And then in 22, we created an entire program called the Beauty Collective, which was geared toward how to make inclusive spaces. And honestly, when I did that, I was like, it was going to be a 6-month program. When it ended, people were like, oh no, more. And so that program came back out. And then what I noticed at the beginning of 2023 is that my community began to look very one-sided in my programs, but my private coaching clients look like me. And I was like, okay, this is like, so I was coaching one-on-one with women who look like me, but I wasn't seeing there's women in my coaching program. And I just kind of like, started to think about it. And
now, why do you think that is? Like,
I'm gonna tell you.
okay.
Yeah, because what it is what happened was, and I believe everything happens for a reason. And what happened was I ended up in March of this year, 23, I ended up talking to a friend, and I was like, man, at this point, I have coached about 250 stylists across the country, all different backgrounds. And I keep hearing the same story, like the finances, the systems, the scaling, the being burnt out, the boundaries. And I was like, and we're using 7 to 10 tools every day to just run our businesses. And most of us are not tech savvy. I was like, it'd be beautiful if there was like one tool that stylists could use, and then somebody teach you how to use it, because there's a ton of software that we can use to book our clients, to do social media. But if you don't understand best practices, it's just a thing. It's like, if I don't know how I'm supposed to use it for my business, how is it beneficial? So I wanted to add a business coaching platform. So I was talking to a friend and she was like, you should do Missouri Startup Weekend. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, basically, Silicon Valley comes to Missouri, you pitch a tech idea, and then you win prize money. I ask no questions. And I'm the queen of no questions sometimes. If my gut tells me to go with it, I'll be like, okay. So this was Thursday. The competition was Friday.
Wow.
She gave me a ticket to pitch. I ended up pitching. It was about 150 people. I won the pitch. Like, I won where we get to build a thing all weekend long. So I did that, and then I won the competition. And I did not read small print, and none of the print, actually. And I found out after I won that you actually get an opportunity to make the thing that you were pitching. And from that, I started to do market research. And with the market research, what I learned very quickly is that my community thought that I taught white women how to do Black women's hair. And because of that, they were not joining our group coaching programs. They were hiring me for these one-offs to help them expand, help them hire, help them build an extension Bible. Those are some of the coaching things that I had done because they didn't feel like my group coaching was for them. And that was heartbreaking for me because as a woman of color, I sit here and I think that I've been able to be in rooms and open doors and have opportunities to be what I didn't see when I first started. And I don't ever want to be in a place and space where women who look like me don't feel like what I created is a place and space for them. So I was like, oh, no. And it all stemmed from the name, All Hair Academy. So in that moment, that was our original name. And it was like, I was like, okay. So then I called all my Black girlfriends and I was like, girl, what do I do? What does All Hair Academy do? They was like, oh, girl, you help white women figure out how to work with curly hair. Oh, girl,
now, where do you think, was that in your marketing, or where do you think that came from?
when people hear the word inclusivity, their immediate thought goes to race and hair texture. But there's so much more to inclusivity. It's body size, it's age, it's ability, it is hair texture. And it's just making everybody feel welcome. It doesn't even matter if you have a woman of color that sits in your chair and you are a woman of color. If you tell her, oh my God, girl, you got so much hair, that is microaggression. Like that, just because it's you and you are two of the same people, it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt her feelings. It doesn't mean that it doesn't make her feel like it's she a burden. If you have a woman that sits in your chair that is a plus size or a full figure woman and your capes don't fit her, how you feel? Like, so inclusivity goes more than that. If I'm a person who can't have dairy and you serve coffee, but you ain't got no dairy free creamer, don't feel well. It's little things, you know. And so what I'm teaching is that I'm a stylist who did everyone's hair. And it wasn't because I was like, oh, I want to be inclusive. It was because I was like, all money is green. And I live in a very diverse area. And if I want to be if I want to be a stylist that makes money doing color, I'm going to have to do it on everybody. And that's how my career really started. And I'm very always honest and transparent about that. And because I was so good at what I did, everybody came. So I scaled very quickly. So All Hair Academy, that part, we said that we help people make welcoming and inclusive spaces, that part. So I think for a lot of Black and brown women, they felt like my group coaching program was very much geared toward that. Now, what was super cool is I had tons of community of Black and brown women who we had group chats. I had some even reach out to me to be an advocate in the group that we were in that was a predominantly white group. But it was the branding and the marketing. It was literally the words. And because these words have been so divisive in our world, when we hear the words DEIAB, like all of those things very much can be divisive. So it was just time for a change. So after doing the research, after talking to my girlfriends who were like, we know you do all hair. We know you help us. We know that you understand every business model possible. And what's crazy about All Hair Academy, even in what we were creating, it was 90% business. What we were teaching was business. And then what I also started to recognize, full transparency, was like, also don't want to be the person who's now giving a particular group of people who already have a leg up, right? Even more. And then the people who don't have access to these resources, I'm part of creating a bigger gap. And that was not going to work for me. So it just came to a name change. So we came up with Liquid Hair Institute, mostly because of a story. I went to a training and there was a Black man, and he was just talking. It was a bunch of Black entrepreneurs. And he was talking to us about entrepreneurship. And he was saying, like, what got you here won't get you there. And then he asked us about a caterpillar. And he said, when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, what happens in the cocoon? And we all sitting around looking silly. We don't know. He says that the caterpillar goes through a complete liquefaction. It goes through an entire metamorphosis in order to be the butterfly on the other side. And what I know now that I didn't know then was I was going to have to go through the complete metamorphosis to become a tech owner in the beauty industry. What got me here in the success in the beauty space as a salon owner, as an educator, was going to need to be different as a tech person. And I think with Liquid, for salon owners, what got you here as a successful stylist and an owner, your skill set is not going to be the same skill set that's going to make you a successful business owner. It requires a different skill. So you're going to have to go through a liquefaction, a metamorphosis to be that butterfly that can be and create all the things you need in your beauty business. So, woo, that was a lot.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because I was gonna ask you, how did you come up with the Liquid Hair Institute? So tell us, like, now, so now that did the name change? Did you notice a shift and of the client you were attracting since you changed the name? And did you like do a rebrand or remarket? Like, how did you make sure that women of color understood it was for us?
Honesty. Like, I'm gonna tell you, I believe in transparency. We did a rebrand. We called it a rebirth because it was a whole new something, that metamorphosis, that birth of the cocoon to the butterfly. And I was just really honest. So we did a rebirth. I talked about it. I shared it with my blogs. I talk about it on every podcast interview when people ask me, why did you change? We loved our academy, and we were selling aha moments, and it was beautiful. But at the end of the day, if anyone feels like they don't belong in my program, especially someone who looks like me, something had to change. So I'm just really like honest. So we just went through the rebrand. So the rebrand came out in September of this year. And so now we are we're just all of our new marketing, our social media is now in the new brand. And I think honestly, for people who look like me, they always knew I was team us. You know what I'm saying? So that part didn't change. But what I thought was super cool and how God Universe Creator works is that the very first opportunity that I had to share who we were was at the Texture Summit. And it is put on by Tippy Shorter Rank and Pakaya, and I got to be a sponsor. And what was super cool is like that first event, and I had never done a trade show. That first event was an event for us, and it was talking about how do we elevate ourselves as Black and brown stylists working with people who have overly textured hair. And then from that, it's been a beautiful thing because I made so many connections there. That I've made additional connections. I just had an amazing connection with the Cut Life. So it's starting to be really cool. Like, I was very involved and had big community in the predominantly white spaces in the beauty industry. And so now I'm loving that. I'm actually starting to be able to connect more and be able to share a lot of these things that I've learned over here with a lot of us who don't necessarily have the access. I think I talk a lot about, like, product companies. They don't come in our salon spaces. Like, the reason why I sold product in my salon was because I walked into a white woman's salon one day and I just talked to her about, I love what she had created. And I was like, oh my God, I love what you've created. What products do you use? And then she happened to tell the production company this beautiful Black woman who's across the street, like you could throw a rock and see my salon, came in and wondered about our products. And they came in and we have a phenomenal partnership, but they gave me 7 product lines to try. I got a book that I could flip through, and they let me try those products. For Black and brown stylists, anybody walking in our salons to tell us about products that we can try, and we don't have $9,000 to $2,000 to invest in a product line to try. So we're missing an entire market on being able to sell retail. So I just really want to bridge the gap for those that have access and those that don't, no matter what you look like or what your background is.
No, Greg, can you tell us the services that you provide now and what you're doing with the tech company and everything?
So right now, our biggest service is community. We have an amazing community. If you go to liquidhairinstitute.com, you can join our free Facebook community. I share resources that you need. This week, we dropped a free consultation guide on everything you should ask your clients. And then we have a profit analyzer tool that'll come out at the beginning of 2024. But in the meantime, we really want stylists to understand their pricing. And we believe that there's a misconception in the beauty industry about how you price your services, and that you need to keep your eyes on your own paper. We believe that there's no one size fit all model, and every hairstylist is different based on their needs. So we've created a free spreadsheet tool that you can use now that actually helps you understand how to price yourself based on your fixed and variable expenses, how much money you need to take home, and then you're going to get your price per minute, per hour, per day. And that's how you base your prices. And then eventually we will have an AI powered software solution that'll help salon owners actually make decisions based on data around their own salon, based on their customers' needs, and then be able to actually run their entire business from one place. But in the meantime, in between time, you can hang out with us at Liquid Hair Institute in every platform. But right now, our Facebook community, which is free, is the best place to start.
Awesome. So, Chrystal, we're winding down 2023. We're a few weeks away from the holiday and everything. Christmas is almost here. 2024 is around the corner. So now a lot of people in the beauty industry may be busy right now, but I know like I've been hearing mixed things though. But some people are really busy right now. But usually January, February is kind of a slower season. So what are some things that you think stylists should be thinking about right now to kind of help avoid being so slow in the beginning of the year?
Absolutely. So I feel like I think if you don't know where you're going, you don't know how to get there. So I think this opportunity is an opportunity to plan for 2024. It's an opportunity to look back and see what you did well. First off, look at your wins, celebrate yourself. I think we don't celebrate ourselves enough. Then look at the lessons you learned. What didn't turn out the way you hoped? What would you have changed? What did you learn? And then set some goals. Don't go crazy. I say 3 to 5 goals. And then ask yourself, who do I need to be to hit those goals? Like, do I need to be more organized? Do I need to get some financial help? Do I need to be more consistent? And then when you think about heading into 2024, the first thing I would say is 2024 is not the time to raise your prices. It's so interesting because people say, oh, January, you raise your prices. It's the worst time because everybody just spent a bunch of money in Christmas and they've been to pay Uncle Sam. If you raise your prices, you probably should have did it in October, and then you'll do it again in the summer. But to prepare is think about the value that you add your customer, and then stay consistent with your customer even when they're not in your chair. I think where a lot of hairstylists go wrong or can be missing an opportunity is, how do you stay top of mind when your client is not in your chair? What resources are you offering your client when they're at home? And I can just share for what we did in our salon that was so helpful. I think we spend a lot of time on social media and we feel like, oh, our clients are there. They see us. Social media decides what your client sees. But having a newsletter, you own those clients. You have direct access to them, whether it's via text message, newsletter, or an email. Send them tips. So what we did is we had a VIP program. And every Tuesday we sent out Tip Tuesdays. And those Tuesday tips consisted of hair tips, makeup tips, and local tips. Your people are in your community. They might want to know what, the best little burger spot, or if you found a really good tea somewhere. And then that becomes like cross marketing. So you might talk to the tea people and say, hey, I want to feature you in my newsletter. Would you give my clients from Chrystal Oil Hair and Makeup a 10% off if they say they heard about you? Absolutely. If you show up in their inbox and say, it's seasonably dry in January, what could you be doing? You could be doing a treatment. We're actually offering treatments. When your clients are coming in December, giving them a holiday card, a thank you card, and then putting in that card an add-on treatment for their next service, but that it has to happen in January. And then in February, something else, right? Reward the loyalty. So then they're like, oh, I got to go in to use that treatment. But in order to get the treatment, they got to do a wash and blowout. So then you are partnering with those things. So I would say, look at how you can continue to add value to your clients in January and February. And then if you are slow, make a plan, make a marketing plan, make a promotional plan. You should have a promotion running every single month in your business. And when I say promotion, I didn't say discount. I said promotion. One of my favorite promotions is we will do add-ons of deep conditioning treatments at the bowl. So basically, if you buy a container of a 32-ounce container of a deep conditioning treatment, you're going to pay, this is all for the stylist, so I'm going to put the numbers out there. We probably going to pay $25 to $35, right? You can probably get a solid 40 treatments out of that container. If in January, every person that you see, you offer them, oh, you know what, this week we're doing deep conditioning treatments, or this month we're doing deep conditioning treatments, you can add on to any service for $7. Oh, for real? You're going to make your money, and you're doing it at the bowl. So you're not adding any more time. You don't have to put them under the dryer. You do it at the bowl. You add some essential oil. You get him an extra little massage. Bam. Value added. It ups your ticket price. And they're going to feel served, seen, and they're going to give you a higher tip. So there's just little things. So think about how you can run when you're slow. What can you do to stay front of mind? What can you do to plan for when you are busy? So when you get to December, January of next year, you have a full out marketing plan. So right now, that's what I would say. Like, look at what you did last year. Plan for next year, and during your slow time, invest in learning more about your business. Invest in how am I going to be more successful in 2024.
Now, Chrystal, what would you say the biggest lesson you've learned thus far on your entrepreneurial journey?
The biggest, oh man, I got three. Can I share three?
Sure.
The big, and I live by this one, and it was a game changer. Nothing beats a failure except to not try. So at the end of the day, nothing beats failing except that you didn't even do it. So if you fail forward, you learn something. Number two, this is a big one because I used to hate rejection. The answer is already no. So it doesn't even hurt to ask. You can ask anybody anything because it's already no. You didn't lose anything. If you ask for help, if you ask the bank for money, whatever it is, the answer was no before you ever even asked. So the only thing that was hurt is your ego. So if you let your ego go, ask everything all the time. And then the last thing, which is a new one for me, is that a diluted plan equals diluted results. So if you don't have a solid, concrete goals and plans, the results are not going to be solid or concrete either.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I love that. Well, Chrystal, tell everybody again how they can connect with you online.
Absolutely. I am hanging out in these social media streets on Facebook and Instagram at Liquid Hair Institute. You can come to find our resources on liquidhairinstitute.com or by clicking the link in our Instagram bio, which is Liquid Hair Institute.
Awesome. So what are you most excited about for this new coming year?
What I'm most excited about for this upcoming year is that we are doing our very first business summit. And we're going to have a summit around business because I think our beauty industry, I think we got the skills, y'all. You know, we
Yeah.
got the skills. We need to have skills in another area and we should invest in our businesses. So we're doing a 2-day business summit, June 9th and 10th in the DMV area. So be on the lookout for that. If you're part of our community, you'll get a early access. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to actually getting our tech tool to the market so that stylists can actually use it. And then I'm looking forward to being the catalyst that changes the narrative for the beauty industry of stylists who just close our doors when we can't do hair anymore to where we're selling our businesses, where we have retirement, where people are able to do what I was able to do after 10 years, which was successfully exit my business with a sale.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Chrystal Graves, everybody, thank you so much, Chrystal. As always, stay great, and we are out. Bye.
Thank you.